bihirang pagkakataon, isang eksklusibong panayam sa ating ika-15 Pangulo ng Pilipinas.
Babalansahin po natin ang ating mga pangangailangan. Aaskusuhin natin ang
maitutupay kayo pa lalong natin
Huwag po tayong umasa sa tsamba. Tayo ay nasa gobyerno, hindi para sa sariling interes, kundi upang panitilihan sa totoong boss natin, ang taong bayan.
President Benigno Noynoy Aquino III.
You mentioned surveys. Mahalag ba ito sa'yo? 4th year of your presidency. Kumusta ang relasyon mo sa media today? In moments when it gets too much, what do you do?
So long as I can face myself in the mirror and say I did everything possible.
You're okay.
Okay na ako doon.
You are watching The Bottom Line.
Mr. President, maraming salamat sa pagkakataong ito.
Thank you, boy.
Mr. President, can you describe your mother, not as a leader, but as a mother?
Yung unconditional love that my sister keeps on saying, despite the stresses. Sometimes she says, between Chris and myself, parang kami rin pinaka, how should I put it diplomatically? Exciting ang buhay niya. But she was always somebody you can turn to. And, di ba, parang masyado kang sure doon sa advice niya. Walang agenda. May therapy ako dating session. You put a warm, what do you call that, in rubber with warm water.
Right.
And they put in too much water, it burst. So I got scalded with boiling water. No. Siyempre, masakit around that. Pati meron pa akong konting dito, blemish. And my mom was there. Immediately, no? Yung hindi yung nataranta, gets a clean towel, dips it in cold water, then suppresses it, calls our neighbor who happened to be a doctor, no sense of panic, no urgency. Tapos ako natawa ko. Sabi ko sa congressman na yata by that time. Sabi ko, okay, ito, I'm 40, and I go run to my mom when I'm in pain. Anything and everything. Tapos also, yung very conscious sila lest they spoil any of us. No, I'm a bit hesitant kasi over the holidays, I got to spend some time in Tarlac. And picture ng daddy. So may point na nagsisente ako para reminiscing both of them. Especially since November 27, I had a very important meeting here. Couldn't go to Manila Memorial, and that was my dad's birthday. So, kaya baka medyo hesitant about all of the memories. But bottom line is, she showed us she was human, again, an example of strength, yung parang the glue that held everybody the most trying times. Person you could run to na talaga, again, go back, no separate agenda, was always focused on the other rather than the self.
Right.
I'm lucky I had both of them.
How did she raise you?
Both of them were loving, pero also parang firm disciplinarians. Parang none of us were spared the rod.
Okay.
Parang the difference lang is, when I look at my dad, court of no appeal.
Okay.
Sa mom ko medyo a little less on the physical. Pero parang severe yung displeasure niya would really produce a more marked effect. My maternal grandfather, for that matter, would just express displeasure and you felt like you wanted to die. Yung walang sanction, walang penalties, walang punishment, walang ganun.
Okay.
Just a simple comment of disappointment was devastating.
You know, some people would say that you didn't leave times. You took care of your mom. You wanted to watch over her. Is that a correct reading?
Siguro, in time, it developed into that manner. No?
Yeah, because, you know, everybody left. Like,
My dad told me in 73, when I was 13 years old, fate has brought me here. He was in Fort Magsaysay. He was detained incommunicado for over a month. We weren't sure if he was alive. They brought back all of his stuff, etc. So when I saw him, my dad, who was always stout, who had difficulty dieting, suddenly had to hold on to his pants just to make sure that they didn't fall off, had a few days worth of beard, had no glasses, and I never saw him without glasses when he was waking. He'd get dizzy without it.
okay.
If I remember correctly, pati wedding ring, watch, etc., nothing. Talaga plain undershirt and a pair of pants, and he was saying goodbye to all of us. Then he said, I'm sorry, you're my only son. I'm sorry to pass all of these burdens to you. I wish it were different, but you will have to take care of your mom and your sisters. And I promised him that. No.
Oh, you are both, to a certain point, reluctant presidents. Is that correct?
Wow.
Tita Cory and you?
Even at a younger age, you will be asked to solve problems yesterday. So history natin, besides Marcos who ever got re-elected, high hopes sa umpisa, parang we go from one extreme to the other. Then I didn't want to present myself to just join this procession that's useless.
Okay.
I'm going to go into that. Hopefully it amounts to something. And siguro, bago na, what is the dream? What do you think the problems are? What solutions do you foresee? Etc. All the things I felt were minimums that I should be able to tell the people.
Okay. Aside from making mom sign a lot of photos, when she was president, Mr. President, how closely did you observe her as a president?
Normally, pag may mga security issues, at some point in time, she would tell me na, di ba, may coups during her time. I'm a woman. Most of the people in leadership positions in the AFP, PCINP, which became the PNP, are males. They might find it difficult to convey certain thoughts and ideas to me. Perhaps you should liaise with some of them so that I can hear parang everything. May mga comments ako for Rebel Returnee Program, community organizing. That was my first job actually, was a PBSP and a Social Development Foundation. Sabi ko, we had training to build them into an effective community organization for 4 months. Sabi ko, nung nag-build kami nito mga organizations ito, it takes 2 years. Before you give them a project, di ba, they have to get used to working with each other.
Right.
And pag may project na may pressures, they will not be able to withstand pag ni-rush. And she tells me, kaya ng gobyerno, 4 na buwan lang.
Okay.
And then, Iraq's invasion, Pinatubo, the earthquake, etc. Doon naman, son, is my mom okay? Is there any way I can help her? All of us we're doing our bit. Even after she admonished all of us na, bahala na ako dito, attend to your lives and to your careers. Okay, now, perhaps, I don't know if you practice the same because you're a very fashionable individual, but I'm very fond of very old shirts for the house. Yung type na very threadbare na. And the reason I bring that up,
nakikita kita na.
there were instances when she was president that she would go to my room and go through my shelves and get all of this and then replace them with brand new ones. When I get home, I'm looking for all of them. I would chase them with whoever she gave it to. And said, teka muna, bakit mo kinukuha yan? Sabi ng mami mo, gawin ng trapo. Sabi, teka, yan ang pinaka-komportable. So I said, pag kaya pa niya asikasuhin yun, or sometimes she'll talk to me about smoking. Okay pa. She's not being overwhelmed by her problems.
Okay. She's okay.
A lot of times we had conversations when she was cooking, lalo after her presidency.
Okay. Did you have disagreements politically?
Yes. Death penalty, she was asking me why I supported it. Sabi ko, pag yung sigurado ko na recidivist doon and yung constantly does harm and was given all of the opportunities.
You use the word recidivist?
The example I was given when I was younger was may cattle rustler raw. And in our case, di ba, cattle, bilang kalabaw. There is this guy, very notorious in their locality. Every time this guy goes out, there will be instances of stealing of the carabaos, 3, 4, or 5.
Okay.
And the carabao was the main farm animal for a farmer. It will take him how many cropping seasons to be able to buy a new carabao, raise it up, and have that help. In the interim, his family, the farmer's family suffers. Okay? If you plow your fields, you will have to wait for everybody else to have finished. Late ka na. You will have to pay rental to them, which will diminish your income. Basta ang tanong, every time tatakas to, 3, 4, 5, bago mahuli, makukulong. Hindi naman life imprisonment yan, hindi severe. Gets out. Or takatakas. Ulitin na naman niya. Dagdag na naman 3, 4, 5 pamilya. So, para bang gagawin doon? What would be the solution to stop that cycle? So, when it came time, both death penalty and that, saying, the person really committed a heinous crime. He was given all of the chances to exercise his rights, have adequate defense, prove his innocence, and he still didn't. And it went through all of the review processes. Then perhaps society naman has a right to be protected from an individual that is very antisocial.
What did she say?
Only God can take lives.
Okay.
a certain point, I got to talk to other older politicians, and they were saying, and they were lawyers, there's no such thing as imperfect na defense. No? Parang yung PAO will have 35 cases in one evening, 60 kung minsan. Yung just go, parang halos rubber stamp na lang siya doon.
Okay.
At yun lang ang affordability ng legal representation by whoever was accused. There can be mistakes in the system.
Right.
So that's when I started rethinking.
Mr. President, how do you think can we empower and renew an entire generation of Filipinos?
Well, yung first is show them what is possible. If you remember Undoy,
Okay.
no? Before that, yung mga Bicol na storms, how long did it take for government to react? No, parang may big palabas ng convoy coming from Manila to Bicol 2 weeks later. Eh ngayon, no? Parang yung pag-asa that will tell you precisely where it will go to. You will have relief supplies pre-positioned. Yung when people would say before na 100,000 people a day papakainin ng gobyerno, parang hindi ka makakayan. Now we're talking millions. No? At kaya yun. Pag sinabi ng gobyerno, you will have this road na ganitong quality, it happens. When government says you will have power restored in X number of days, it's done. When Filipinos go abroad and you meet the Philcoms there, may renewed sense of dignity and pride. And then you get comments from the foreign hosts saying, parang singing praises, no? To the high heavens of all of our countrymen. You show them that, oh, we were there, we are now here. Okay. It doesn't have to be what it was before. And all of this transpired because all of you participated. Then you go from strength to strength. So, siguro yung, how do we increase the number? It is not, the Filipinos not talaga. The way I phrase it, hindi tadhana ng Pilipino yung justice. Kailangan pwedeng may justice. Hindi tadhana ng Pilipino na magpakapagod ka na, wala kang asenso. No? Pwede tayong umasenso at mabilisan yung asenso o malaki ang pag-asenso natin. Ang daming biniyaya sa atin ng Diyos. Pwede pakinabangan ng lahat. So, inclusive growth and providing opportunities for all.
Okay. 4th year of your presidency. Kumusta ang relasyon mo sa media today?
I can say na time to time, may nakikita naman ako sympathy from media. Pero I understand, no? There has to be fostering of conflict. It has to be sensational.
The adversarial, nature of the fourth establishment.
There was a point in time lang kasi when I was younger, when you read it in the papers, you know it's true. Di ba? I'm sure you went through school and said, ito po, nakasulat. Okay. And nobody questioned it. Or I was watching, went to the kitchen, my household staff were watching the news. And they were saying, I didn't fulfill my promise that education will have the biggest share of the budget. Okay. At may pagka-disingenuous. Specific na I remembered. They managed to give Butchabad para yung the other side. The host is my critic. The 2 interviewees were my critic. The reporter was my critic. Then they gave Butch as the balance.
Okay.
Balancing side. So, sabi na, napunta sa personal services. And the item in the budget for personal services is yung salaries, benefits, government employees. Tapos nung pa lang, yung they managed to allow Butch to say, please remember that EPED has about a third, roughly, of all government employees are DepEd.
Okay.
So, pag napunta sa PS, the biggest bulk of that, singularly divided by agencies, education. Pero hinimay nila, hindi nasa services eh. Hindi, wala sa pagdagdag ng eskwela, hindi sa pambili ng libro, blah, blah, blah. Pinangako ni Brother Armin 66,800 classrooms by the end of 2013. He produced actually 66,813.
Okay.
Yung books parang half price. Between 3/5 to half. No? So even with the same budget, you'll get more. So, teka muna, magagalit naman tayo siguro kung meron naman tayong budget for 66,800 kung natapos na. Yung bibuild na lang natin classrooms, number 1, yung na-damage by Yolanda and the other events. And yung pandagdag doon sa K-12.
Okay.
Pero yung backlog that was existing that we inherited, it's gone. So when you say, wala nilagay for new schools, baka naman tapos na talaga yung trabaho. Hindi binanggit yun.
So, Mr. President, pag sinasabi halimbawa sa isang programa na hindi pinanindigan ng Presidente ang kanyang pangako na ang pinakamalaking budget ay mapupunta sa edukasyon. And right there, I mean, you're watching it. What does a President do?
Siguro in my particular case, no, and the survey comes out, and the people still believe in me. Sabihin ko, parang the people know. My being here is because of the people. My staying here is because of the people. So long as the people still believe in me, bahala na kayo mga kritiko ko.
Okay. You've learned that in the last...
And from the start, no?
From the start.
But more so now.
More so now. So, President, pag pinag-uusapan ang FOI, dahil ito yung nababasa natin sa dyaryo at napapag-usapan ito, nasaan ho kayo in terms of, is this going to be an urgent bill? Is this, what is this?
Yung urgent, the Constitution kasi says there's an emergency that you have to address. And parang ayaw ko naman lahat na lang na gusto kong maipasa.
Magiging urgent.
Lahat urgent.
But it is not tantamount to saying that you are not supportive of the bill.
We actually have a version with our amendments that we have already submitted to both
Dapat
chambers.
maintindihan kasi ng tao na porket hindi pinarmahan urgent, ay the President doesn't care about.
Galing rin ako sa legislature. Parang sa dami, pag napaka-reckless to sa urgent, yung other bills that have meaning. No? Hindi ito yung priority na Malacanang. Sorry, hindi na pakikinggan.
Okay. You mentioned surveys. Mahalag ba ito sa'yo? I mean, ano ang survey na yung iginagalang? Does this guide you in any way?
Yes, especially when you can get more details.
Right.
What were the questions? Who were the respondents? What was the context, etc.
Yeah, the question and the answers at kung kailan
Kasi you want a check naman na hindi pare-pareho kayong in one group. You want to have some empirical data to back up.
Right. Right. In your cabinet meetings, do you welcome disagreements?
Yes.
Do you encourage debates?
Yes.
You do.
Actually, there are times anybody else has anything to say? Pag wala na para sa kasalan, we decided on this, we will forever keep on silent. Nobody should come up to me later on and say, sana sinabi ko to, sana sinabi ko yan.
Okay.
Kaya nga tayo nag-uusap dito.
Para sabihin lahat.
And normally, I don't hold the whole cabinet meeting, lalo na pag hindi sila involved doon sa particular topic. Kasi nakakaawa rin talaga yung, when we hold cabinet meetings, it's from morning to evening.
Right.
Minsan beyond that. And the person who is not involved is trying desperately to keep awake.
Okay. You try not to involve
When we do the
Right.
cluster, everybody who has a portion there is given all of the opportunity to put in their 2 cents worth.
Okay. Generally, there have been, not general, there have been criticisms about how the government handled specifically Yolanda. What do you have to say?
Siguro one thing that people actually realize, no? Did any of them propose a different method to address it, given the enormity? 44 provinces. No? 918,000 families have to be attended to in terms of yung housing, whether partial or totally destroyed. I think it's 1.4 million families whose lives were affected by this whole tragedy. 320 areas that lack power. They don't highlight, for instance, gaano kabilis ba response? Yolanda came Friday, Saturday, the Air Force brought in people to clear the airport and had radio set up, operational na. It's really daunting, no? Get the food stuff from either Mindanao or from Luzon. You have vessels traveling at, by boat, it's what? Siguro yung Pangulo, I had Pangulo, the presidential yacht brought there to service as a command post. Close to 2 days yata to get there, under full speed. No, we had 3 C-130s to take care of everything. Now, it's so easy to criticize. No? But ako, from before, and I think a lot of people share the same opinion. Okay, madali mo muna, meron ka ba iba na better solution? And if you cannot produce it, then gano'n lang, no? Look at the critics for, recent example ni Secretary Pitilla. He was asked how long will it take? Initial studies for restoration of power, 6 months. But he said, I think we can do it after the assessment in 40 days for 320 areas. So how many did he finish by Christmas Eve? 317. He missed 3.
Yes.
So, the following day, 14 hours later after his self-imposed deadline, all 320. Okay. Then there were still calls for him to resign. So I had to do the math. Sabi ko, yung 320, the 1% is 32.
Okay.
Yeah. So 320 less than 32, no, gives you 99% na grade. 3 out of 320.
But still, Ikot Pitilla offered to resign.
Yeah. And then I said, sabi ko, sa eskwelahan namin, pag dumating ka ng 91, A. Pag dumating ka ng 99, A pa rin yun. No? So, kalimutan na natin 317 na on time. And way, way beyond the projected 6 months. No?
Okay.
And some people also don't know that kuminsan may hesitancy yung electric company, the distributor, the cooperative. Dahil may LGU palang ang laki ng arrears even before Yolanda. So sila, i-reconnect namin sila. Tapos dadagdagan lang yung utang lang wala sila intensyon bayaran or matatagal ang bayaran. Kami magpapalulong ito. Kawawa naman kami. So trabaho rin ni Ikot na kumbinsihin. Hahanapan natin ang paraan na ma-address yung concerns niya. Tapos ang thank you niya, you should resign by a few people.
Yes. Mr. President, sa mga pagkakataon na ngayon alam ng lahat na hindi madali maging presidente, pero in moments when it gets too much, what do you do?
My test kasi, so long as I had all of these questions, and I must confess, did I have all of the solutions or a majority of the solutions? Not at that point in time. I couldn't envision how we will turn it around.
During the funeral march of Tita Cory, I don't know if you remember, Mr. President, was it the first time you heard people actually chanting, Noy for President? Do you remember that?
I don't remember.
You don't?
I remember.
But there was chanting.
There were several people who were talking to me and saying, I should. One guy in particular said, sabi ko, kayo naman, ako maawat, ako pa dadala lahat ng problema. Tapos sabi niya, kunyari may 1 million signatures na kami. Sabi ko, nung araw ko, 50 million, nung EDSA ngayon. Malapit ako tayo sa 100 million. Kung 2 million. Siyempre, I was a bit flattered. But at the same time, I thought that was not in the cards at that point in time.
Okay, so that brings me to, what people usually say, that the presidency is destined.
Yeah.
Do you subscribe to that?
Yes.
You do?
Was I even being considered before that? No. At most, no. Parang
And
the
you
running
weren't
mate of Marojas.
And I think, Mr. President, you weren't interested.
Again, parang you have to be able to capture the imagination of the people to really affect yung rapid change. And the rapidity of change has to happen, and correct change at that. Otherwise, you lose their support. Okay. So you have to get it first. You have to get the maximum time to start producing results that they will not give you.
Okay.
And the problems, again, that I knew were already daunting. And I knew that there would be problems that were hidden that would be even more daunting. And then solve it yesterday. So talaga parang, I will volunteer. I don't think so.
Okay.
And then have people hate me at the end of the process. Yeah.
Mr. President, your message to all of us, to the Filipino people.
Siyempre, number one is thanks. No? Thanks, nagkaroon ako ng opportunity to serve you and to be part of this change that's happening. Salamat sa napakarami nagtitiwala na bagamat meron talagang cottage industry na sinusubukan sirain yung relasyon natin. Pero hindi kayo nagpapaniwala. No? At yun naman na naging daan, parang umabot na tayo kung nasa tayo umabot ngayon. Ang dami na natin pwede namang angkinin. Yeah? Nandiyan yung maskwelahan na natapos, nandiyan yung nako-cover ng PhilHealth, nandiyan yung dumadaming trabaho. Bukas groundbreaking na nung connector ng SLEX, NLEX, yung TPLEX, yung Tarlac, Pangasinan, La Union Expressway. Nagamit na nitong holiday season. Matatapos na yata yung connection hanggang Urdaneta this year. At next year hanggang Rosario na parang 3 years ahead of time. Palagay ko, nakikita naman yung gobyerno yung hindi darating tayo dyan na para mag-indefinite. Nasasabi sa inyo anong aasahan kung kailan. No? At lahat yan nagmula dahil nga sa inyo, sa tiwala nyo, at sa patuloy na pagtitiwala at pagtutulungan. At dadami pa itong pagkakataon sa lahat hanggang matapos po tayo. Hanggang sana sa halinhin sa atin na ipagpatuloy pa rin. Na nakafocus, hindi sa sarili, pero doon sa kapwa.
Maraming salamat, Mr. President. Hi, people of the Philippines and people of the world. Hit the button below. And you will be subscribing to the Boy Abunda Talk channel on YouTube. Let's keep talking.